lounging, son.
All right, welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name's Ryan, and with me again is another awesome indie creator. I have Matt King with me, one of the masterminds behind Tales to Enlighten, which I cannot wait to fucking talk to you about because that book is insanity. Welcome to the show, dude.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Dude, my pleasure. So everybody that watches this channel by now, you have to know it's always my first question, especially first time I'm meeting somebody, talking to them, a little bit of their kind of origin story with comic books, how you first discovered it, and then lead me up into, wanting to create comics yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I have watched a few of your videos to see what was up, and yeah, I pulled out a couple of the first books I can remember. My dad had a job where he would travel out of town, and he'd come home and like give us some comics, like he'd pick up at the airport or whatever. And I remember, so in the 70s, because I'm old, this I think this one here was my first, might have been, it's like the first one I really remember.
Okay.
Kirby, Machine Man, 2001. It's like perfect book. But yeah, so he would bring us comics and stuff. So that was like 77, I think. And then this Invaders issue with Frankenstein as a Nazi. And this one, which is a reprint of Captain America 105.
Nice.
So those are some of the early comics I remember. I still have them. I don't know if these are actually the same. So I have this like weird OCD. Like if I see any of these books in like dollar bins or $5 bins, I'll just buy them again and again and again. So like I have like, I don't know, 20 copies of this. So I just like never really fell out of it. Maybe for a couple years, like in high school. But when I went to my brief college career that I never finished, there was a comic book store, and I figured that was way more fun than like calculus or whatever. So I was just buying comics again, and I've never gotten out of it. As far as creating a comic, I mean, that's something new. This is Tales to Enlighten is my only book.
So I mean, being a fan for that long, like that's a good chunk of time. I mean, I've been reading comic books for a pretty good chunk as well. Like I'm younger than you, obviously, and I started later. I started in 90. The oldest comic I have, well, not oldest comic I have, I have older comics now, but the oldest one that I could remember was Flash 82. And it was the Mark Waid run with Mike Wieringo on art. And, that's dated 91. So I guess 91. So I would have been I'm assuming I was 5 when I got it. It probably had been out for a few months. So, I mean, that's a long time for me too. Like I've always wanted to create a comic book, and I just procrastinate. That's why I started the channel, because to me this is easier than to actually sit down and force myself to write a story, because I can't draw for shit. So I think it's interesting to hear you say that you've been a fan that long and just now decided to create a comic book. Now, why now of all time?
I'm not exactly sure what initiated it, other than the artist James Edward Clark on this book. I mean, phenomenal artist. I followed him for several years before this book launched. I would buy commissions from him and just follow his work on Tumblr back then. And he had made a post that he did like an 8-page zine or 12-page zine for someone else, like on commission. It was like, instead of just a single art page or pinup or his regular commission, it was like an 8-page story or something that they submitted to him, and he drew it, charged him whatever. And I was like, man, let's do something fun and like fucked up. And that's how it started, I guess. I hit him up and said, like, I have these ideas here, would you be down? He's like, yeah. That's how it started rolling.
I mean, you didn't do commission rate though, right? Like that's, I mean, you guys had to have done something different. The book is massive. It's a massive book.
It was as soon as he would finish a page, I'd PayPal him money. That's how it worked.
Wow. So how long was the book in the works? Because that book, minus because you have a ton of pinups. Great artists that you got, which, I mean, kudos to you for getting all those artists. But the story itself is massive.
It's like 160 pages or something, just the main story. You know, James, the stuff I did with James is like 100. And like you mentioned, there's over 100 pages of pinups in there. A backup story by my other buddy Dave Gordon, is a great cartoonist himself. But yeah, we started, I want to say like March or April of 2017 is when we started. It went on for like 4 years before we launched the Kickstarter, April of 2021. So yeah, like 4 years or whatever. I don't know what it is. It's crazy.
And then the pinups, was that accumulated as well?
Yeah, so the whole thing, I was like, hey, we're doing this book. Here are these characters. I'd hit up this artist, that artist. A lot of them are my friend. Started as just my friends, and then it just was like so many. It just got out of hand. But it went from people that I knew online that were my friends, or people in real life that were my friends, to online Instagram friends or whatever. And then I was like just reaching out to like Shintaro Kago and in Japan. I was like, hey, Google Translate, let's go. And yeah, he did one. I hit up a lot of people.
Dude, yeah, I mean, you have one Jim Mahfood in there. I saw him have a piece. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, hell yeah, dude.
Oh, I love Jim stuff. Yeah.
Every time he puts a project out, I mean, you can always see the growth from the previous project, and he just continues to like change his style and like mutate into something just like so unique, more than anything else on the stand. So I was like really stoked to see him in there.
Met Jim. So I was buying his stuff, for years before I met him. I met him at a Boston Comic Con. I don't even know what year, but like I just showed up with a bunch of books and I was like, hey, you want to sign this? And then the next day, so I was buddies with the guy who owned and ran Boston Comic Con. So I kind of was working there. So I went back the next day and gave him like one of my we designed a bunch of t-shirts and stuff. I gave him a t-shirt, a bunch of mixtapes and stuff. And I just started talking with, so now we can, I can converse with the guy on a, human level.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I mean, so
really excited for his new book, man. The new Girl Scouts book.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. I read the first issue already and it is so good. I do want to ask, like, you talk about getting into comics in the 70s. This definitely, has like, just even like the main character kind of reminds me of like, like Son of Satan, right? Like kind of, I'm sure that had to have been an influence.
Well, yeah, well, certainly. When the initial idea I had with James, it was just going to be like a 20 or 24 page book, like a single issue. And it was going to be a straight Marvel bootleg. Like we were just going to fuck with these characters, and total bootleg and, fuck it. But James actually was like, maybe we should, just change it enough that we could. I'm like, you know what, you're probably right. It's a good move. And yeah, so obviously that's, that the Machine Man character, is a riff on that. So I mean, so this first issue that I ever got, or the first issue I really remember, like quite literally on this page, he's talking about like, where's my face? Where's my face? And then in our book, we do Tales to Enlighten is like filled with like references to other stuff, I mean, it's like, so all these references are in there. But yeah, it was going to be a bootleg. We decided let's do something else, and then so I just kept expanding the story on James, man. I mean, it was fun.
So before we get into like the story, like, since you're doing it page by page, how did you write it?
So I wrote like there's like 5 or 6 chapters or something. I mean, the first chapter is like 8 pages or something, and then they go to the next world, and then I just wrote like that last half of the book is like 1 chapter. So I just kept expanding it. I gave them, like that first 8 pages I gave them. and then the next one we go to like the Bat Cave, you know, and it was like another 8 pages or whatever. And then we went to like the Fantastic Four world. That was another X amount of pages. You know, so I was keeping ahead of him, but like I hadn't given him like the whole synopsis. And in truth, a lot of it was being developed like on the fly.
I mean, yeah, like I think I told you like before we hit the record, like it's insane. The book is insane. The art, great. I mean, just the words and art together are just, it's exciting, man. And to find and to hear that it's like your first project,
Yeah.
you knocked it out of the park. I mean, you really came out very strong.
You know, thank you very much, but you know, it's his art that sold this thing. You know, I mean, he's got such a unique, like, vibrant style. You know, that really, you know, makes it pop for sure. I mean, I'm not to sell myself short or whatever, but like, he's great.
Yeah, he's very, very talented. I mean, I didn't know his stuff until I saw this, right? Like
Okay.
that was the first time I saw his name. I think when you were doing promo for the Kickstarter. I mean, even just like the like the people in the background that he was drawing towards the end of the book, like he is like real people. Insane the likenesses that he fucking just like put page after page, person after person. And all I could think, I'm like, my God, how long this must have taken him to draw. You know, like it's crazy.
Yes and no. I mean, he's studied, you know, he's goes to life drawing classes, and you know, like that's his forte. You know, he's, you know, a real world artist where, you know, he'll draw people on the bus or whatever, you know, like, so he can capture that likeness, I think.
Yeah.
Easily, but that's, you know, that is a skill he has.
Yeah, I think you very skilled artist, and it's, you know, taking 4 years. It started as you being a fan, right, of his stuff, and you have to have developed a pretty strong friendship over the past 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, we've never actually talked in real life. We've only emailed, like, messenger, but like, you know, that's the way of the world sometimes now, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as all the cameo people in the club, you know, that whole takes place at a nightclub there at the end, you know, Club Enlighten. But yeah, I came up with a document with like 450 names of, you know, different characters or movie stars or writers, you know, wrestlers, whatever. And, you know, I made this whole document of 450 names and filled a folder with all sorts of reference photos and stuff. And I said, you know, and there was some where I was like, you know, can you put Jake the Snake Roberts right here getting smashed with a disco ball, you know? So, but there was others I was like, just fill in whoever you want here, you know. Try to give, you know, I wrote a story that was specific. I wrote a script, but, you know, try to give some leeway so it's fun for the artist, you know, it's not like a grind.
Yeah. Okay, and let's talk a little bit about story, you know, the concept, where the idea came from, and for anybody that hasn't picked it up, you know, kind of an elevator pitch almost, like what can they expect with the book?
So the idea is 2 friends. One's the grandson of Satan. One's a robot, killer robot, but like a nice guy. The grandson of Satan like reprograms the robot, has this plan that you can use Satan's misery machine. They kill 666 superpowered individuals. They can get to enlightenment. You know, you find out enlightenment isn't just, you know, like a higher learning, but like an actual physical place, like a club that's called Enlighten. So, and the grandson of Satan along the way realizes, hey, maybe you shouldn't be a dickhead and be nice to people. They meet like this cosmic DJ slash Jesus slash Buddha character that teaches a lot of Zen enlightenment kind of lessons, you know, basically lessons that I just, you know, remixed very, not much. I didn't remix them much, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it definitely gets very kind of philosophical a little bit, you know what I mean? Like you get pretty deep, especially towards the back end of the book, I think, more so than in the beginning. Yeah. That's why I think it's like, I had no idea what to expect of the book. I came in blind, you know what I mean? Like I try not to read descriptions of anything when I'm going to read something new for the first time. And that's why like I was just blown away. Like I read it in one sitting.
Oh man, that's a
Yeah,
lot.
it was. I wasn't expecting, and it's because like I was also poring over the art too, you know, like sometimes I'll glance at stuff, like I'll just read text and like, but I'll absorb the art as well. But I was just like staring at, that's why I was saying the likenesses are crazy, and the fact that he fit so many in. But I think that the story was really, really strong. And I do like the kind of message that you were giving. And what would you say, like the message that you hope people take from the story?
Kind of up to individual interpretation, but more or less, like, you know, you're not the only person in this world. We're all connected. We're all, you know, everyone's dependent upon everyone else, whether you know it or not. And like, don't be a fucking asshole, man.
That's the message. Take away. Don't be a fucking asshole.
There you go.
You should put that on the back of the book for sure.
Volume 2.
Volume 2. So let's talk volume 2. What is the plan? I know you tease it in the back. I know you've kind of mentioned it on social media and stuff, like little teases. What are your plans for this next volume?
So volume 2, like I said about the pinups, like I just had too many, you know, eventually there was just too many pinups. Like I saved some of the pinups for the next volume. There was like another 100 pinups, I think, that went into the digital edition that I couldn't fit. You know, I just couldn't print everybody's stuff, you know. And a lot of great stuff just didn't make it, you know. So some of it I saved for the next volume, but I just can't, I would have loved to have printed more, but that book that's 314 pages is expensive to print, you know.
Yeah.
The idea was I was like going to be James's story, and then I asked my buddy Dave for a backup story, and then my buddy Tony Sidani did a story, Ryan Miller did a story, and then all of a sudden I just had too many backup stories. Like it was like going to be like a 600-page book. So a bunch of those stories that were like done, they're already done and in the can, are going to be in this next volume. And then I wrote a whole bunch more. So it's like an anthology where I wrote all the stories, and then there's like 20 different artists or 25 different artists doing story art. So it's pretty cool. Got a lot of great people on board.
Nice, dude. Can you kind of tease anybody else besides the name you mentioned, or you want to keep that close to the vest?
I got a whole list here. I could go through a few if you don't mind.
Yeah, dude, go for it.
Shaky Kane. He's on.
Yes, it's awesome.
He's on. Like I said, my buddy Tony Sidani. He did 2 books. He's a member of the Ringside Seats group.
Yeah.
My buddy Ryan Miller. He's doing a story, and then I got like. Also, I mean, I have people. It's very international. You know, Johan Peterson.
Yeah.
Bill Nash book. Yeah, one of the first ones that turned it. So he did this. He drew this book, this backup story in like 2018 maybe, and I've just been sitting on it like all this time. I can't wait to put some of this stuff out. You know, Erwin Papa.
Okay.
No,
No.
Yeah, he's Andrew Buck. No, this guy Phil. I'm gonna say his name wrong. He's Russian. Phil Bratukin. He draws like Jeff Darrow. It's amazing.
Okay.
So in the pinup section, the very first pinup where it's like a double page spread of that was him.
Oh shit. Okay.
He's crazy. Yeah. You know Jared Cody Wolf?
The name sounds familiar. Is he in the group too?
No, but he does a lot of kind of surrealist kind of art. So I have him doing all these one page. It's the variety of artists I've got. It's crazy. It's gonna be so much fun. I'm really having a good time doing this.
Dude, I mean, yeah, I can see it all over your face. I think it's awesome. I think that the collection of talent that you're bringing to this next volume just sounds even cooler than the first, without taking anything away from the first. You know, I like that you're kind of including, it's an anthology written by you, but all these different other artist interpretations of your story set in this world, right?
Right. So all spin-offs, you know, it's like some prequel stuff. A lot of it, you know, I try to tie it all back into the original story, you know, like the Wonder Woman character that wears the mask. Like we find out why her face is all fucked up under there. And like the Lizard Batman. We find out where he's from, the Coke Knight, you know,
Yeah.
where he's from, and we find out who Sam's father is, mother and father is. It's like I really try to bring like all of it back, you know.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, what are the plans for it in terms of timing? And you have some of them done, but you probably don't have it all done yet, I would imagine.
I'm writing a story right now, and I've got 2 more I want to write. So I was hoping to launch it like exactly a year after the first one, so April 2022. But it'd be a miracle to like really nail it down by then. I have the art for a lot of this stuff, but some of it needs to be colored. Lots of it needs to be lettered. Like there's a lot of work involved. Where my buddy, you know, I'm very fortunate to have my brother is a graphic designer. He's like Photoshop in his sleep, you know. He could do a lot of this stuff. My buddy Dave, that I was saying, he did one of the backup stories. Like he's got his own advertising firm, you know. So he's also like very Photoshop, and my buddy Travis, who really helped me over the past year get this first book print ready. I just have an amazing group of friends that are like helping me, you know. Like I said, when you wanted to Zoom or whatever, I'm like, well, give me a second because I'm terrible. Like I could barely turn Photoshop on, let alone like letter and color or anything.
I mean, Photoshop is not, you know, I mean, I'm not saying if you don't know, you're an idiot, because like I barely know that shit. Like there's so much that you can learn on Photoshop. I know just like surface level stuff, resizing, maybe, you know, making some labels or something. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely very well put together. The design of the book, the paper stock of the book, everything you put together for that, I think it's a great package, man. Great package.
But the paper stock, you know, I knew I did, you know, I don't like that glossy stuff. Like when you get the Marvel Masterworks books on that glossy paper, it blows, man.
I know, it's horrible.
But like I see a lot of the DC books, like they did a bunch of Fourth World reprints and stuff, and they put it on that, you know, that matte finish paper. You know, it's got such a better feel. The colors come out nicer. You know, I looked at like Night Hunters from Dave Baker and Alex Zarrett there. Mm-hmm. They use that same sort of paper. Like I really like that. Plus with James's style, where one layer, like the base layer is always like he scans in a piece of recycled paper or something. You know, it's got texture to it. Yeah. You know, so the texture of the graphics with the paper stock, you know, it's really what I was looking for. All the design stuff, it's all in my head, and I'm just like, my brother would send me something like that's not quite right. Can you do this again? And, you know, the kid's doing it for free. He's got 3 kids, a whole family, and I'm like, you know, needling him about bullshit stuff.
I mean, hey, dude, you want to make sure that it's your first book. You know what I mean? Like, it's understandable. You want to make sure it looks exactly how you see it in your head. And I think it shows. I think it shows that you put a lot of time and care into the book that you put out. You know, it's a quality book. I'm kind of curious, you know, like all this came out of your pocket before the Kickstarter. I don't even want to know the figure because I don't know that. Like, I've thought about doing it myself, and I'm like, fuck, I don't know if I can afford it.
Well, first of all, I mean, it's you know, if you want a book, you got to pay the artists, obviously. You know,
right.
Don't shoot for a 300-page graphic novel, maybe. You know, if you you know, scale it back. I was very, you know, I'm very lucky that it was successful. You know, as you know, could have really been a bust, and I would have been screwed.
I mean, did you make the money back that you put out over the 4 years?
No. I have over here on the other side of the basement, I have like 300 books left out of the 1,000 I printed. Okay. If I sell, I'll pretty much break even.
Dang, dude. That's love right there, man. That's just for the joy and love of comic books. I love that. I mean, that's awesome to hear. You know, I think but then it's like I see your face, and it's like it doesn't seem like the money part of it. It doesn't really matter because you did it because you wanted to make a comic book and you wanted to create something. So I mean,
that's the thing. I wasn't really trying to please. You know, I want other people to like it. I mean, otherwise, you know, what's the point? But I was really trying to please myself. As hokey as it might sound, I had a vision, and this was the vision of what I wanted. There's that a little bit OCD. So every once in a while, a pop song gets stuck in my head, and I've been watching this fucking YouTube video for all week. I've been watching, that Flash, the movie Flashdance.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen?
I don't think I've actually ever seen the movie from beginning.
Came out in 1983. Okay, this is hot chick. She's a welder in a steel plant in Pittsburgh, and she's a dancer at night. She's like a stripper. She's not a stripper. She's like a cabaret dancer or something. She doesn't get naked, but she wants to be a ballerina, right? And eventually, she realizes her dream. But the song, I like pop music once in a while, but this song has just been in my head, and it's the one line is like, take your passion and make it happen or something. So like my passion really is comics, man. And I wanted to do this, and we did. I feel like we pulled it off,
Definitely pulled it off, dude. And I mean, I know that just from the reaction, the kayfabe ringside seats group, like you mentioned, the reaction was phenomenal.
I mean, I know you know this, but hands down, the best group on the fucking internet. Like, there's so, every once in a while there's a negative post or whatever, but like overall, it's like the most positive pro comics, like for real, I mean, sometimes it gets a little bit too much for me, how much they love this creator, that creator, like personally, but it's a very positive, uplifting group, and they really came through on the Kickstarter. Like I would see, I'm not going to list off the names, but I would see Eli's name, or I would see this person's name or that person's name. It's like, wow, man, all these people, Tony Farrow's name, or they would all the backer list. I was like, shit, man, all these people are from the kayfabe group,
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome, the support that everybody has for one another in the group, and I think it reinvigorated my love for comic books. Like especially during, I think it was like a little bit before the pandemic that I actually started paying attention to the group, because I had helped Eli edit the Wizard Zine, the first one. But I didn't know, I had heard of Cartoon Escape, but I didn't know what the hell it was. So then he asked me to edit. I'm like, well, I mean, I'm not really know much about it, but I can help you edit, right? Like, I can help you with the grammar, all that stuff. And then he added me to the group, and it took me a minute. And I think the first video I watched was the Eric Larson shoot interview. I think was the first episode I actually watched. And then I went back and watched every video. And then I started paying attention to the group. And it just like, yeah, it was unlike anything I had ever experienced in all the years that I've been reading comic books. Like people can like Liefeld, people can like Dan Klaus. You know what I mean? People like Jaime Hernandez, they can like Batman, Spider-Man, also like just like so much varying likes, but nobody shits on anybody else for what they like. And I think that is so fucking rare. It's like comic shop talk in the group. Like that's exactly, what it is at a comic shop. But nobody bitches it. I mean, you're right. Every time there'll be something a little bit negative, but they nip it in the bud and it's gone, right? Like they don't let anything escalate. So I think it's cool to see everybody support one another, and discovering new people through the group has been one of the most exciting things for me.
I try to back buy a bunch of books from these people when I can, or the Kickstarters. Like there's a kid right now, Dan Lee. He's a member of the group.
Yeah.
He's actually coloring some stuff for the next volume, and he wrote this Gifford the Clown book that's on Kickstarter just like yesterday or the day before, and I was like, it looks amazing, I mean,
it does. It looks dope as well.
I hope that people go out and check it out, man. I mean, it looks great, and yes, you're spending more money for a book on Kickstarter, but you're not just buying the book. You know what I mean? You're buying into the creator. So I hope people like that Gifford the Clown book or whatever, and like Sam Blanchard there, Schlepzig. You've interviewed him, right?
Yeah.
So he's got a story in the next book, but I back his stuff on Kickstarter, and these guys are great artists. It's like, try to support them when you can. Try to support indie comics.
I know, that's why especially like I was gonna say too, like because of the group, like I tried to make some of my focus on my channel, interviewing people like yourself, interviewing some of the indie creators that don't necessarily they're not getting coverage
But
everywhere.
Todd McFarlane needs some more shine for sure.
Hey, I have to say, I like having just like the group, I like to vary the type of people I talk to, you know.
Kidding. I'm amazed that like the J.H. Williams. I mean, that's amazing. You're getting guys like that. That's awesome. I love it.
You're amazed. I'm fucking amazed. You can't tell when I have the blank look in my face when I'm talking to them, but when I was talking to Todd McFarlane and I'm staring for a minute, inside my head was like, you're fucking talking to Todd McFarlane for your YouTube channel right now. You know, like I'm like, I have to psych myself out and try to, I don't want to fanboy when I'm talking to these people either. But yeah, I think that, I love everything about comics. I love all types of comic books, and I think that this medium, it's my favorite medium of entertainment is comics. If I have a free moment and you tell me you can watch TV, movie, or I'm going to read a comic book.
Sure.
9 times out of 10, I'm reading a comic book, unless it's like, whatever, I'm watching TV with my wife or my kid, but and just even like looking behind, I can't take my eyes off your shelves. I keep trying to read what you have. Like you can tell, like that's love right there. That's love for the medium behind you. And I can see there's the varying stuff you have. So as we kind of wrap things up, I'm kind of curious, like you talked about how you found, James for the book, right? I was wondering if you want to get, you kind of shouted out, Gifford the Clown, the book by Dan Lee. Is there anything else, any creators that you kind of want to give a shout out to? Maybe somebody you've discovered recently with their work that maybe, maybe some of us aren't aware of yet.
I did pull a whole stack of stuff out. Yeah, it's, some good stuff. You know these guys?
Aubrey Sitterson, yeah, he's local. He does a lot of signature stuff at the shop I work at.
Okay, so this is the first Beef Bros book. The second one, Kickstarter right now for a few more days. I don't know when you're gonna put this video up. It might be over by the time you get to it, but this is a great book. Aubrey Sitterson and Tyrell Cannon. Good stuff, man. And I want you to interview this kid, man. This Jasper Jubilo.
I'm trying, dude. He doesn't respond. He's hard to get a hold of.
Did you try emailing him or only?
I don't have his email.
I'll get it to you. Okay. I mean, so they have. This is issue 3, I think. Yeah, this is issue 3. So he's putting out a collected edition of 1, 2, and 3. I think when that you should talk to him. Him and I know you just had Nate.
Nate Garcia. Yeah.
So I mean, they're both like the young kid. They really are. Then like, I know this sounds stupid, but they are like the next generation. There's no denying it. These kids. Jasper did a pinup for us that's going to be in the second book, and Nate also he just sent one in too. So I'm gonna have both those guys in the second book. This is the kid, Jared Cody Wolf, I was talking about earlier. Did this like He-Man summer special. It's like it's crazy. It's like, I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
This kid he's something special. I would urge people to find him on Instagram and follow him. But I know you had Corinne on.
Yep.
Right. Good stuff. I just pulled out a whole stack of books in case I didn't have anything else to talk about. So there you go. This is what you get. Adam Falp?
No. How do you spell his last name?
F-A-L-P.
I know the name. I'm seeing the name in my head like I've seen it before, but I've never seen that book. So
this is called Satan's Library. It's very cool. It's got like a little library card on the inside. I just love indie comics. It's got you're reading the story and then it goes to this comic book store, or it's not even a comic book store. It's just like a weird store that has comics, and he finds like this mini comic, and it's like stapled into the actual comic itself. It's rad.
That's dope.
They do that Atomic Hercules book. Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those guys are very cool. But stuff like that, man. It's just, I'd like to back people on Kickstarter that have, a real because you find stuff on Kickstarter that isn't your generic superhero stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like they have, it's either a single, you know, artist, writer, or a team, but they have like a vision, and it's usually like a crazy vision, you know, and that's why I like buying stuff right from people on Instagram or right from the kayfabe group or whatever. Like, good stuff.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, I think it's, you definitely, like you said, I don't mind spending more because I know I'm supporting the creator
Right.
as well as buying their book. You know, it's not like I'm supporting Disney or AT&T when I'm buying a Batman or Spider. You know,
I've bought my share of, more than my share of Marvel and DC books. It's just like,
same.
and after I was just saying how positive the group was and not bashing people, it's like I just am so bored. I just can't read another Captain America comic. You know, it's just like there's nothing there for me anymore. You know, it's like I can't read another, even Flash. Like you were talking about that Mark Waid run. You know, I love that run. It was great. I used to have like from the Silver Age, I had every Flash issue ever printed up until it was just before like the new 52 shit. And I was like, you know what? I have hundreds and hundreds of Flash issues, and I was just buying it out of habit, but I'm just like bored to death with it. So that's what, you know, now it sounds like a broken fucking record, but yeah, indie comics, baby.
Yeah, indie comics is where it's at. I mean, there's still some stuff that I pick up from Marvel and DC, but it's definitely, I have more indie stuff than the DC and Marvel combined. You know what I mean? Like there's still some books I'll buy, but it's more exciting. You know, like it's different.
Like DC books, I bought that the Daniel Warren Johnson Wonder Woman book.
Yeah.
Fantastic. You know what I mean? Fantastic. But I can't pick up the regular title. You know, it's just like I can't. One of my buddies, he buys a bunch of mainstream stuff, and then we get together for lunch, and we like, he gives me a stack of books, and I get it home, and like I try to get through it, and it's like I just can't read another Batman story. I just can't do it, man. It's like it's impossible.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it just feels like they're just retreading too. You know, like it's so rare that we get an original. Like the Wonder Woman story was definitely an original take, right?
The Ray Bill book he did, you know, fantastic. The DC book I buy, I've said this before on an interview or whatever. I buy that Nice House on the Lake book, you know, but it's totally not superheroes. It's like an indie book, you know, just from a corporation.
Yeah. No, I feel you on that. Indie comics is where it's at, and I definitely, think that everybody listening and watching, some of the people that you shouted out, definitely go support, and definitely go support Matt himself and the Tales from Enlighten book. And for everybody, listening and watching, before we get out of here, can you tell them where they can find, what is that?
This is so while we're working on the second book, in between, I'm making this zine called Psychometrics #1. This is so doing my research for all this Tales to Enlighten stuff. I bought hundreds of like occult magazines from the 70s or some of the 60s. It's just like weird religious stuff. And so I have like stacks and boxes of the stuff. And my brother and I are putting together this zine where we like took old ads and weird articles, snippets, and we're putting together this zine that'll be coming out. That's our next project while we're working on the second book.
Okay, well, when is that coming out? When can we expect?
I'm hoping in months, we'll get that out. It's just gonna, it's just a zine, 32 page, like Xerox sort of thing, very punk rock. That's, I'm not gonna say we're not putting a lot of care into it. I've scanned some killer stuff. I think it'll be fun, but it's not for every comic fan, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely going to check it out.
The next thing, yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Well, for,
where they can find it, this is the book, Tales to Enlighten.
Look at that beast.
Yeah, man. 314 pages. James Edward Clark art and art. You can find that at my Etsy shop, etsy.com/shop/King Megatrip. One word, King Megatrip. You can find me on Instagram, King Megatrip 23, or we also have a Tales to Enlighten account where I try to post in, a piece of art or a pinup or something from the blog. And coming up probably in the new year, it'll be not all, but it'll be a lot of kind of preview stuff for the next book. Other than that, you can get my mixtapes at megatrip-power-hour/fireside.fm. I don't know, something like that. Look it up on Google.
All right, cool, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks. I really, really appreciate you having me on, man. Thank
Oh,
you.
of course, dude. It's my pleasure. I'm sorry we couldn't do this sooner, and I definitely, I'm definitely down to do another one with you too. Help when the second one's coming out. You want to do a Kickstarter? Definitely love to help promote that with you. And for everybody,
Or we could go through indie books from the channel or from the group or whatever. I'm down for anything.
all right, cool, man. Well, yeah.
About it.
Awesome, dude. Well, for everybody listening and watching, make sure you go pick up the book. I'm gonna have all the links down below for where you can find Matt and his Etsy shop. And yeah, like I said, dude, thank you, and I can't wait to chat with you again.
Sure, man. Thank you very much.